Greetings, Royal Family. Thanks for clicking on the video. The Last Dance. Michael Jordan and the Bulls and Phil Jackson and all of them. Documentary started last week, Sunday. So episodes 1 and 2 already aired. Let's get into it. So, I mean, when you hear the word Chicago and Bulls, specifically the 1990s Chicago Bulls, one of the words that comes to mind is iconic. So episode 1 starts out with the Bulls team in the 97-98 era possibly being dismantled. I do like the style of this docu-film, but I will get into that later. So we start out with the news that the Bulls already had 5 championships, going for 6th. And possibly being dismantled. Now, this was, again, after they won 5 championships. They were playing for their 6th. Jerry Reisendorf, who is the Chicago Bulls owner, he was thinking of rearranging the team for whatever reason. And I'm sure it was for monetary gain, right? For the love of money. It's always business with some of these people. Anywho, but the people were not having that. The fans, again, you're talking about 97, 98. Again, Dennis Rodman is playing on the team at the time. Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr, who else? A plethora of people, but those are the big names. And Phil Jackson is the coach. You know, they had a good thing going. The momentum, they kept up. The momentum, 5 consecutive championships. The momentum, the chemistry was there between Jordan and his team, the coach. Everything was solid. It was perfect. The franchise was doing well, obviously, and the fans, they filled the stadium season after season. So money was being made, and it's like, why on earth would the owner want to bring someone in to help him dismantle and rebuild something that has been working successfully? Again, after winning 5 championships, management wanted to, quote-unquote, rebuild the team? Well, Jordan wasn't interested in playing for another coach. He made that very clear. He wanted to stay with Phil Jackson, and he was vocal about that. So he felt that it was unfair, and he said that he would never let someone who is not putting on a uniform and playing each and every day dictate what the players do on the basketball court. And, you know, Michael Jordan is a lover of the game. He's in the trenches, and he's right. You know, these suits can sit up in these offices and push people around like chess pieces, push these players around or move these players around on like chess pieces, when Jordan and a lot of the other men on the team do it for the love of the game. You know, they do it for the love of the game. And again, the synergy between this group, the 90s Bulls, it worked. It worked. It proved that it worked. So it's like the fate of the franchise shouldn't be determined by people who put on suits every day and are not on the court, basically, is what Jordan was saying. So it's safe to say that Jordan, he didn't really care for the business of basketball, right? Because everything is a business, you know, like music business. You know, you enter the music business for the love of the music, yes, but at the end of the day, it's still a business. Now, there's another Jerry Krause. He was the general manager of the Bulls. He was hired by Jerry Reisenhower, whatever, the owner. And he was blamed for all of the tensions surrounding the shakeup of the team. You know, he was not liked. He was booed when he was introduced. Sometimes, remember when they would have like the championship games and they would put the music on and the lights would get dark, and they would introduce the general manager. They would introduce Phil Jackson and then the players, the starting 5. So whenever Jerry Krause, this is the general manager, would be introduced, he was booed, especially during the 97-98 championship game. So they didn't like him. You know, he was doing a lot of press, and sometimes his words, according to him, used to get misconstrued. It seemed like he was talking trash about the players. Like, you know, I can do whatever it is that I want to do. Now, what's his name? Let me go back, because I don't want to be, hold on, y'all. Reisendorf is the Bulls owner. Jerry Reisendorf is the owner. Jerry Krause is the general manager. Now, remember, the owner hired the general manager. So when he was doing all of this crap and talking all of this trash in the press, I mean, Reisendorf could have fired him, but he didn't. And it's just, I wonder if we will ever know what the true reason was for wanting them to dismantle the team when everything was going so well, right? Anyway, Krause, he was blamed for, like I said, a lot of the tension surrounding the shakeup of the team. He wasn't liked by many, but the owner said that he wanted someone to come in and help him build the team that the owner himself wanted. Again, I don't understand if it's working for you. The proof is in the pudding. Why would you all of a sudden want to shake things up and dismantle and send this person there? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Did it have something to do? Those are my sports connoisseurs out there. Did it have something to do with like the draft? Like they wanted to trade off, maybe get rid of Scottie Pippen and bring in someone, like what was that? Why would you want to shake up something that's working? It was said that Krause, the general manager, he was envious of the attention that Phil Jackson, Jordan Pippen, and some of the other players were getting. Now, a little bit of history. Krause was responsible, it's said, that for bringing Phil Jackson to the Bulls as an assistant coach. And then, of course, Phil Jackson became head coach. And the people loved him. Phil Jackson was cool as a cucumber. He got along with the players. There was never any issues. So, I mean, maybe Krause was jealous. They also said in the documentary that on the first episode that Krause suffered from little man syndrome. They said that he was like not my words, they said that he was a short, fat kid that didn't get a lot of attention. So, he got in a position of power as general manager. And he just, kind of abused and tossed around his power. Now, going back to Krause, general manager, and Phil Jackson, right? Krause didn't want to pay Phil Jackson what Phil Jackson was worth. You're talking about 5 championships I brought to this franchise as head coach. What's up with my pay, right? Doesn't seem like anything that doesn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. That makes total sense. Like, pay me for my works. Well, the general manager, Krause, wanted to get rid of Phil Jackson. Again, Jordan made it very clear that he ain't playing for another coach. So Jerry Reisendorf, which is the Bulls owner who hired Krause as the general manager, he ended up signing Phil Jackson for another year. And he made it very clear that year, 97-98, would be Phil Jackson's last year. Phil Jackson is also giving commentary in this episode. He looks great. Jordan looks great. Steve Kerr looks great. Pippen looks great. It's so good. Bob Costas. It's so good to see these men that I pretty much grew up watching, and they're still alive, with the exception of David Stern. He actually died the beginning of this year. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, jealousy is just one hell of a drug, and Phil Jackson was just like, you know what, fine, this is my last year. He said that he didn't exchange any other words with Jerry. They wanted Phil out for whatever reason. I feel that it was just rooted in jealousy. They knew they may play stupid, but they ain't that stupid, because they knew that if they got rid of Phil Jackson and didn't re-sign him, Jordan was not coming back. And I know those colonizers hated the fact that Jordan had them by the almonds. That's your franchise right there. Especially, after Pippen came 97. That's your franchise. Jordan is the franchise. Remember, before Scottie Pippen, when Jordan came to the Bulls, Scottie Pippen was not on the Bulls. Jordan got to the Bulls in 84? There was no Dennis Rodman. There was no Steve Kerr. No Pippen. So Jordan is the face of the franchise. He filled seats. He got numbers. So if Phil Jackson was going to leave, Jordan was going to leave too. And there it is. There's your quote-unquote meal ticket. And again, I know that they couldn't stand the fact that this black man, Jordan, got them by the you-know-what. And when Jordan would give press conferences, he wasn't belligerent. He wasn't loud. He wasn't boisterous. he was just very cool and calm and said, like, I know I have choice. He said, what probably got them shaking is when he said that I have choices and I'm aware of the choices that I have, and I just don't think it's fair to put me in a position to have to play with another coach. I'm not interested in playing with another coach. And he said it so calm, so serious, so stern, much like how Phil Jackson would respond to any question or anything. And I loved every minute of it. He was not aggressive. He wasn't pounding the table or anything like that. He just like, I'm Jordan. I'm Air Jordan. He knew it. I could go anywhere. You know how many teams probably want me? So if you get rid of Phil Jackson, I'm gone too. I love it. And again, Phil Jackson, he was cool as a cucumber throughout all of this. They didn't want to pay him. And the general manager, Krause, I think that he was jealous of all the attention that Phil and the other players were getting. That's my assessment from things. So moving on to a little bit of Jordan's early life. Again, one thing that I like about this so far is that they're not going in chronological order per se. They're kind of bouncing, and they have a theme I see. But again, I'll get into that at another time. His parents were big on education. So Jordan did attend college. He went to the University of North Carolina, and his mother was a part of the documentary as well. And his mother, she looks great. I don't know how long ago they filmed this. Had to be some time ago because David Stern was in it, and David Stern is no longer here. But anyway, she looks great. She's aging beautifully. His mother actually read a letter that Jordan wrote his mom from college, asking for money and asking for stamps. It was a short letter, and she laughed. And Jordan was filmed. He had an iPad, and he saw his mother reading the letter on air, for this documentary. And the way that he just smiled seeing his mother read that letter from him in college. Oh, his mother seems very down to earth, very even-tempered woman. She appears that way. I thought that was so sweet. So she's just like, isn't this a typical college student? So she laughed. He was very disciplined, and he did well freshman year in college, and he really made a name for himself. A lot of his old coaches, some of his old coaches were in the documentary as well, and professors, and just talked about, and even people from high school talked about how disciplined he was. He was very, very disciplined, and that can be contributed to his father. I'll get into that in episode 2. So yeah, he was like freshman year, college, he was lighting it up. They won a championship against Georgetown when he was playing for UNC. I think that was his freshman year. So he became, Mike, like Jordan in college. So he was just marveling in it. There was old footage, which I love that they incorporated in this, of him when he was in college, when he was like so young. And it's so funny to see him with hair. He was so young, so full of energy. So his coach, in his junior year of high school, his coach suggested that he go pro. And after thinking about it and consulting like with his parents, he decided to do so. He said that he wanted to finish college. So I guess he felt that was a tough decision. And I love the fact that he included his parents in just about everything that he did concerning his schooling, his career, and his life. His parents were oftentimes at games. When Jordan first went to the NBA, his mom would always be, with him. So that kept him grounded, and it just showed how close he was to his parents. So we fast forward after the coach suggested, while he was 21 in his junior year, that he should go pro. Fast forward to the 1984 college draft. The Bulls, they had the number 3 pick, and of course they picked Jordan. So Jordan also made a bigger name for himself prior to the draft because he was able to play in the Olympics. Can you imagine that? You play in the Olympics and then boom, there's the draft, and then it's like, I'm going to the NBA, all at like 21. That's crazy. So Jordan heads to the NBA. So in 1984, at 21 years old, he started playing for the Bulls. Prior to Jordan's arrival, and upon arrival, the Bulls were a dying franchise. It was said ticket sales were in the trash. They couldn't even fill up 50% of the seats in the arena where the Chicago Bulls played. So Jordan, at this point, he's telling a rookie story. He's part of the documentary as well, giving his input. And he even looks great. He's aging beautifully as well. So he told a rookie story. So he said, as a rookie, he witnessed his teammates, because there were rumors that the Chicago Bulls were a traveling cocaine circus. I think that's what one of the producers asked him. So Jordan, he started laughing, and he says, I will tell you this. He witnessed his roommates doing drugs in a hotel room, and it was just like drugs everywhere. And he said that he left. He said he's out because his mentality was, if this place gets raided, he will go down too, just for being in there. So he didn't partake in any of the sorts of drugs or anything like that. So he said that that's when he started to sort of distance himself from all of that and a little bit from his teammates. Nothing personal, but business. He didn't go to clubs. He said he didn't drink at the time back then. He didn't drink. He didn't do any drugs. He said he came to the NBA to play ball, and that's it. I respect it. He wasn't an arrogant rookie either. Again, they're showing so much old footage of him working out with the team as a freshman, old interviews, and also he's giving his commentary now. He basically understood that he was the new kid on the block, he said, and he took the opportunity to study the leaders on the team. So he wasn't like coming in there showboating like, yeah, you know who my name is. I played in the Olympics. They picked me. He didn't have that arrogant attitude. So he studied the leaders on the team, the strongest players on the team, and he decided to challenge them in a good sportsmanship-y kind of way, not an arrogant way. So anyway, his third game in the NBA as a rookie, the Bulls are playing the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? And he showed out, okay? Now, he said they were down 9 points. They did win. They came back from being down from 9 points. And he said that, the Bulls, they had been so used to losing. He didn't say this. These are my words. It's like their attitude was like they gave up so easily because they were so used to losing. And Jordan was like, the game is not over yet. You got this 21-year-old. He was young. He was hyper. He had swag on the court. He had footwork. So he definitely put on a show, and he did it the right way. So they ended up closing that 9 point lead, or that 9 point gap that the Bucks had on them, and they ended up winning that game by 1 point, I think it was. So after that, people started filling up seats because they wanted to come and see the Michael Jordan show. So people started filling up those seats in the stadium again to see young Jordan. He put Chi-Town on the map as far as basketball. We did see Obama, former President Obama. He was in the episode giving his 2 cents, being young and watching Michael Jordan play as well. Of course, Michael Jordan won Rookie of the Year, his first year in the NBA. And then they shift and they fast forward to the to 97-98. Phil Jackson, this was going to be his last year coaching the team. And Phil Jackson had a recurring thing where every year he came up with a theme for the team. And what do you know? The theme for Phil Jackson's last year coaching, which was the 97-98 season, the theme for coaching the Bulls, his last year with the Bulls was Last Dance. How appropriate. And this series is The Last Dance. Well, welcome to the Last Dance review series, Royal Family. I'll see you in episode 2. Peace.